Welcome, everybody. Lucky number 7. Here we are.
Excellent. Hello,
Excellent.
everybody.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of Cardboard and Cold Ones, where we fill up our beers and cheers to the legends of cardboard that we admire.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers. I'm here with co-host and co-founder of Cardboard and Cold Ones, Mr. Jason, Everyday Card Collector.
Hey, everybody. How we all doing?
So tonight we're going to be bringing on a buddy of ours who goes by Vintage on Vintage, none other than Steve, not Steven.
Hey, Steve.
What's up, Steve?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm really excited, so appreciate it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Man. So we generally don't.
Too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Got to.
Cheers, absolutely.
You may want to share the beer, Steve, because I've mentioned that beer several times.
Yep, I'm drinking some Spotted Cow here, Jason.
Fantastic.
It's a Wisconsin beer. My youngest daughter just graduated from there, and I think they're the only college in the Big Ten that sells alcohol at their BMU, and they've got the BMU overlooks the lake, and sitting there with a pitcher or two of Spotted Cow was one of my favorite things when she was going there.
That's correct too, Steve. It is the only college that sells the beer at the BMU. So yeah,
important stuff to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan is definitely right. He has the high-end beer while we're drinking trash crap.
Yeah, this is an honor. This is in honor of Dave Legends of the Dugout. He calls me Trash Panda, so I got to drink the trash beer.
I told you, Jason, when we were talking earlier, right? When I was in college, if we were drinking Coors Light, we were living high off the hog. So
right, that was a high-end beer when you're 20 or 21.
Oh, what a surprise. Jason is on a video.
There's my good friend, Mr. Chris.
Chris, Missouri.
Going to be taking shots at me all night long. I'm certain of that.
So tonight, generally we don't really go into planning mode for these sort of things. We kind of just go off the cuff and just engage in conversation about whatever strikes the mind. But we've thought about talking about setting up at card shows and that sort of vibe, and the moment of going from just being at shows to setting up at shows. There's definitely I feel like there's definitely a little bit of a learning curve, but it's a lot of fun. I could say that much. So, and so I know Steve is considering on making that crossover. So my question though is, would if you were to start selling, would the money be towards would it be a full-time thing, and also would it be towards your collection, like buying more stuff for your collection?
Yeah, for me, Sammy, so I think I'm getting really close to retiring. Really close to retiring. So when you do that, right, and when you work for like 30, 40 years, you don't just turn it off, right? You want to have something to do. And the hobby is something I'd like to do. But for me, I'm not looking to generate revenue for me. I have, I have a stock portfolio to take care of that, but I am looking to fund the hobby, right? So it'd be like, if I want to spend, I'm going to make up a number, $7,000 in the hobby in a year, can I make $7,000 to fund the $7,000 or a portion of that? So that's where I was thinking about going with it. And I know that you do it. I know Chris from Missouri does it. I find it interesting. I know there has to be, there's different ways to do it, right? Setting up at shows, there's selling on eBay. And I, when Jason asked me to be on, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to kind of pick your brain on, some of the learning curve and how to go about doing something like that.
Yes, it's actually funny because on Sunday, I'll be hosting another live stream exclusively talking about card shows, but additionally, it'll be talking about flea markets and garage sales as well, which will be a fun thing to talk about. But yeah, card shows for me was was a bit of a learning curve. There's a lot of small things that I think that can be done, and you never really stop learning about how to find your niche and setting up. And the greatest thing is that everyone's different in doing it. So the way that I generally set up, let me see if I have photos. It might take a minute, but generally the way that I set up is one display case for the high-end stuff. And then I will also have a kind of a portion of the table highlight singles of Hall of Famers and big stars, like a couple of bargain boxes, couple binders, and maybe some lower end stuff to kind of round it out. So, but sometimes, you see like when you're in a show mixed with modern cards, you see a lot of kids there, and they literally just put out maybe 20 or 30 high-end modern cards, and that's it. And so it's interesting to see the dynamics. But I think with vintage, one thing I notice is that a lot of vintage dealers, there's always, I would say 95% of the time, vintage dealers have a huge inventory of stuff. And so it's really about table space and how you use it.
What my question to you, Sammy, because again, for those who watched our previous episodes, I say it on my channel, I don't sell cards, I don't trade cards, I buy and I keep, and that's what I do. What was your thought process and the trigger that had you decide, hey, I'm gonna start selling and dealing cards? Was it to fund the hobby? Was it to just be on the other side? What was the trigger that made you go, okay, I'm doing this?
The initial part of it was the fact that I couldn't handle the amount of cards that I had in my small, dinky apartment. No, it's a good, it's a good size apartment, but I couldn't, it was too much, and just needed more space. So I decided, I was like, you know what, I wanted to pivot, because being a set builder was the worst idea for something like this. So I decided to pivot and focus on player collecting, or rookie cards originally, because rookie cards, there's only so many of them. But then that pivoted over as well. But to go back to your question about being a dealer, is I saw an opportunity there where I could reapply what I purchased into a card show format and start selling to kind of fund my hobby, like the way Steve's talking about. And it's worked pretty well so far. And it's kind of a win-win. I was able to streamline the collection down and really not take anything out of my paycheck from work to have to fund things.
That's perfect, right? I mean, that's the goal as I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sammy, was it hard to switch from collector to seller, right? Because like Jason, I'm really a collector, so I buy. Jason's been with me at card shows. I buy, and I like to buy, and I don't really sell a lot. But I know there has to be that mindset, right? You can't keep everything, and if you're going to make a living selling stuff. So how difficult was that?
It wasn't as challenging as I thought it would be. Once I started selling things, my thought was, oh, am I going to go home that night, realize that I don't have that 1955 Willie Mays anymore? And for a long time, I was like, oh, I'm not going to sell that Willie Mays because it's such a beautiful card. It's 55. It's such a classic set. And I was thinking, and then, like over time, I started kind of gravitating towards some alternative cards from the same years or similar years. So like in 54 Journal American, 54 Stahlmeyer, and so I started getting into those cards just because I just liked the combination of where they came from. Journal American coming from a newspaper, Stahlmeyer coming from hot dogs, Coca-Cola Tips 52 coming from Coke, and so I started gravitating towards that. But yeah, at that point, once I made that change to go that route, I was more comfortable moving the 55 Mays and moving the 56 Mays and the 57 because I was getting away from doing the Topps run and focusing on some stuff you just don't really see too often.
Do you think you could pull that off, Steve? Because I know you and I collect very similarly. We have a lot of the same mindset. Do you feel like you could do that?
No, I feel like I can sell cards, but it's like right now I have a tendency to buy doubles because I just do. I buy cards, right? And I'm at the point now where I don't need to have two of the same card, or there may be some cards I could move away from. I couldn't ever move away from that Maze Sammy was just talking about. I don't own it now, and I couldn't move away from it if I did. There are some cards I can't sell, but I think I can. I do believe though that what I do enjoy doing is looking for cards and trying to find cards that I think are good bargains. And some of those I feel like I could sell. I think the hard part, and another question I had for you, Sammy, is
Mhm.
how do you get the inventory? Like what's the best way that you found to go get inventory? Because that's the key.
So, so a combination. To me, it's a tough one because it's a hit or miss. Sometimes I'll buy inventory from like I bought last year. I bought inventory from the National, and some of it I made money on. Some of it I broke even. Some even like a small percentage of cards that I sold, I lost a little bit. Um, but a lot of the times the inventory comes from. I've actually had viewers of my channel reach out. I've gotten inventory through like when I was at Strongsville. B Roth connected me with a guy who had a huge box of like star cards from 50s, 60s, 70s, and these were kind of just cards that he wasn't really as concerned with compared to his main inventory. And then most recently, I took on a consignment for a viewer of my channel, and we worked out a deal. And I'm still working on his consignment, with shows going into this fall. So um, for me, being a part-time dealer, doing this for fun and doing this as a hobby, there's only so much you can really take in because I can't dedicate 24/7 of my time on it. So it's just how it is.
Steve, I think you saw me digging through that box at Strongsville. Sammy got me the peek in there, and
Yeah.
you saw me digging through it. So
Yeah, and you did it the way I would have done it. You came home with like 4 or 5 really nice cards.
right.
So Chris from Missouri he brings up a good point here. Setting up a card show has introduced me to a different group of friends, similar to YouTube, as a way to grow your collection. That's very true. I've gotten to know doing a lot of the New York-based shows. I don't do the big ones. Like I don't do the East Coast National. I don't do Philly. But I do set up at like some of the larger regional shows, like the Garfield show to me is one of the bigger ones. That's about like a
Yeah.
200 table, if not more. And through that, I've been able to, befriend a lot of dealers there. And, what's nice about those card show videos that I do is that I film their tables and they get business from me that way. And so it's kind of worked out really nicely. I've been able to kind of build a reputation with these guys. So Chris is definitely right about that.
Well, Steve is local to me. Steve and I live near each other. That's why we go to card shows and whatnot. But we have 2 or 3 monthly shows within our area that, it sounds like it would be similar for you, Steve, if you were going smaller shows. You would do those 3 shows. You've got Orland Park, you got the one Schaumburg where we always go, and then there's one in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. There's just steady amount of shows. We live in a big metropolitan area, much like you, Sammy. So I mean, there's always something going on. You can almost find one every weekend. And then some pop up in Addison, and some pop up in Darien. So I think being in the area that you're in, Steve, that would be a benefit. Again, I don't know enough, but I would think that would work. My question would be, is it possible, and Sammy would be the only one who can answer this, is it possible? So Stephen mentioned there's no way he's given up that 55 Mays or 56 Mays, and neither would I.
Mm-hmm.
Could you, are you hunting for 71s, or are you hunting for 69s that, you already have? Like maybe you're looking for McCoveys if you already have 2 of them, or maybe you're concentrating on building inventory for set builders. I mean, there's so many different ways you can do this, right?
Generally I kind of focus on singles because that's the thing is that the different shows bring out different customers. And so one thing I've learned is that doing certain shows, I know what kind of people I'm going to be getting. So like, for example, this Sunday, I'm doing the Milford show. A lot of the customers that come to me from Milford buy singles. And generally that's what I focus a lot of my inventory purchases on. I don't buy sets really, unless the price is too good to pass up. I will buy a ton of singles, make a deal when you bundle them together. And, if I can get them at a price where I can make just a little bit on it, that's perfect for me. Because part of it really is just it's a lot of fun to set up. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun at the same time. So if I can just make a little bit on it, that's awesome, because then I'm just kind of, again, just putting it back in the hobby. It's not something I'm living off of. It's just something I enjoy doing. So there is a part of it that just for me is fun.
Steve,
Yeah,
would you ever consider? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve. I don't mean to cut
No,
you
go
off.
ahead, Jason. Go ahead. Go for it.
I was going to say, would you ever consider dabbling in the modern to kind of cross the gambit of everybody? Would you stick with vintage or?
Yeah, I think my issue with the modern is I think if you're gonna try to sell something, you've got to know something about it, right? And I don't really know that much about the modern, right? You start getting into the parallels and the refractors, and I know who the stars and the young guys are, but I'd probably want to stay in my lane. My lane's more vintage. I do football, baseball, and basketball. So, I do enjoy all, and it's a little bit of hockey. I dabble in some hockey, but so I enjoy the major sports, and I would want to probably stay in my lane in those areas versus the modern.
Sure.
Great Northern, I want to bring up his question. He's asking me here: how does being a dealer affect your PC, Sammy? You had a hard time selling the 55 Mays. Are the cards in your PC that you absolutely would not sell, or are you open to anything now? It's a good question. The being a dealer affecting my PC is in a good way. Again, I don't have to dive into my personal finances to fund. I've done it a couple times, but not too often. I try to keep myself away from taking money out of paychecks. Are there cards in your PC you absolutely would not sell? Anything you see here, I'm not moving. So
I thought you were selling. I thought you were selling me the Maze Coke tip for $100.
that's you were not supposed to bring that up. Yeah, no, I mean, pretty much there are off limit things. I mean, that's why I streamline my collection down to fit. This is not everything, obviously, but I kind of keep it streamlined down to fit in maybe like a few tubs. That's it. So it's a good question, though.
It's the great thing about the hobby. So I have such a kick out of hearing everybody talk about how they collect, right? I mean, and I might be going off on the rails here a little bit, but Sammy's very disciplined in what he collects and how he collects and what he's looking for. I don't want to speak for you, Steve, but you and I collect pretty similar. We are all over the map, and if we see it and we like it, we buy it, right? And neither way is wrong. It's like I don't think I could have the discipline that Sammy has. I simply can't. I have to, when I go to a card show, something's getting bought, and then, I'm working on 2 or 3 projects, and it might not have anything to do with the projects that I'm working on. Happened at the National. I was buying stuff I bought 1 or 2 that had something to do with the projects I was working on. But the first card I bought was just left field out of nowhere. This is an awesome card. I want it.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time, Jason. That's one of the reasons I don't have the Henry Aaron rookie card yet, right? Because I go to shows and I start picking up 69 McCoveys and 68 Billy Williams because I love them. I love the cards. I love the players. My lane tends to be in the 60s and 70s more than anything, and it's only because that's when I grew up, and that's why I collect. I collect like the players I watched, and I have a tendency to buy a lot of those cards. A lot of the $30 to $60 to $70 cards, and I sometimes don't get the big guys because of it.
Right. And that's something I'm actually going to try and focus on a little bit, probably next year. Maybe when January comes around, maybe saving some money to try and get in it. You and I have both talked about it, Steve, on the side. Like, is it time for me to start saving to try and get that Aaron rookie or a nice Koufax rookie or whatever you're looking for that's a little bit of a bigger card. I want to get a couple Cracker Jack cards, and those aren't cheap, so I need to stay disciplined. But I just don't know if I can. Like, if I'm at a card show this weekend, I'm a buying, and I'm a buying with the $300 or $400 that I have there. So that's just how it's going to work.
So, Steve, I brought up the photos of how my table gets set up. Now, it's a little messier than usual because a lot of things have moved. A lot of things were moving when I was at the National, but I'll bring up the screen. I'll bring up one photo at a time.
Okay.
So here is my major display case, and focused on again, 50s and 60s I even have some football in there, some pre-war, and so it's a kind of a mix. And then you can kind of see it over. Let me see if this will. Did it switch over?
No, you're still the same.
Still the
Same
same picture.
same
Yeah.
photo. Okay,
Yeah.
let me switch over to a different. Oh, hang on a second. I could have done this a lot smoother. All right, so
Sorry.
here is like this is how I set up a lot of the singles, and what I did here. I mean, again, this works for me. I put a lot of the like the 80s in the front row, 70s in the second row, 70s third row, 60s in the last the two rows, and then the 50s in the far back, and then you have stacks to kind of go for each decade. So I thought, to me, that be easy on people so that they can pick the decade that they want.
Yeah, that would work. Yeah, that makes all the sense. I love it when I see stuff like that because I will grab the stack that I want and take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine? So the show that I've been to twice with Steve, it's more of a modern show and less of a vintage show locally here. We do have a vintage one. We just haven't hit it yet together. If that table were there, you and I would just be like, all right, you take those 4, I'll take these 3. I mean, that's
we wouldn't leave. There's no table. There's no table like that at that show. I'll tell you
right,
that. Right.
Exactly.
So
exactly right.
This is the final part of the picture. We have the common box on the far end. You got some oddballs in the oddball cards. Mangini hates that word, I've learned. You got you got the top super cards there, and you have some high number cards, 67, 72s, and then the ice cream, those ice cream cards, right. Basketball and football, and then you have the bargain bin box of like anywhere between $1 and $10 cards.
What's that 59 in the upper left-hand corner?
Up to $10 cards you have up to $10 cards in the bargain bin then, Sammy? 1 to 10?
Yeah. I do like a $1 to $10 setup.
That's cool.
In that box. So yeah, just because I think people love rummaging through it. So it's What were you asking Jason before?
What was that 59 in the upper left-hand corner? That's why I don't like when Sammy every time I see Sammy, he's got a box of cards, and I end up buying something.
Are you talking about like which one?
It was next to the 57 Koufax in the upper left-hand corner.
Oh, let's go back to that one then. We're gonna do some sales right now.
I already bought off you last weekend.
I know. Well, that's like a long-term purchase. Which one are you? The top row?
Upper right, yeah. Upper right next to the Koufax, next to the 57.
Oh, Yogi. Oh,
Yogi. Yeah. Okay, and then and Maris as well, huh?
Roger Maris. Yep.
All right. Well, every time Sammy we'll talk later.
So it's funny,
I'm
Jason,
not going to buy cards in front of everybody online right now on YouTube.
It's funny you say that though, because Sammy had a video right before the National, and he was showing some cards, and I saw 2 of them I liked, and I reached out to him, and he was kind enough to sell them to me, and I sent them into SGC. I expect to get them. I think they're coming back tomorrow. So it was that 64 Stargell and the 59 Killebrew. Sammy, those were 2 sweet cards.
So I remember. I will give you a heads up on the Stargell. Not a bad one. When I sent in the Lou Brock from that same year, the 64, came from the same guy at Strongsville, the B Roth's buddy. Yeah. The Lou Brock, which had very similar condition, came back a 7.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Wow. So I'm hoping that, we all know grading is subjective. So I'm hoping that you can get an 8 on it, because that thing was razor sharp.
It was sharp. I was hoping for a 6, Sammy. So if I get an 8, I'll be happy. You know me, Jason. Most of the cards if I get 6s, I'm pretty happy. So it was a sharp card. It was a really sharp card. I'm excited.
Would you sell that and then potentially get into a 4 or 5 or 6?
I don't know. It's probably, that's the kind of card, like when I saw it, it was a beautiful card. It was razor sharp, and that's the kind of card I like to have. I'm a big Stargell fan. I don't need to have every card Stargell has, but I'd like to have 3 or 4 of his cards that, kind of as a sample of my collecting Willie Stargell. So I probably wouldn't sell it unless if the right price came along, I would. Yeah, sure. Right. Do a Dylan, sell the 8, get a 4.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's a thought as far as growing your funds for the hobby and letting the hobby pay for itself.
Yeah.
Do you need the 8? You can sell that at a premium. Whatever you X, 2X, 3X your money, whatever it was, and then you can go turn around, take that, and buy a 5. And yeah, look at that. That's a
This is
beautiful
a
card.
Greg Morris card. Sold. It's for 277.22.
Wow.
I mean, that was from 2022, so it's hard to gauge. But like,
Yeah.
let's even look at a 7. So a 7, it says about $100. I mean, that's a buy it now. 125. I mean, it's all over the place.
That blows my mind. That it's a $127 difference from a 7 to an 8. That's just crazy to me. But whatever.
Mhm.
I'll take it in a
Yeah.
5.
I just wanted the card. So, I just wanted the card because
Let's start
it was
there.
a sharp
Let's
card.
start there.
So Sammy, the setup time, like walk me through, like there's some cost, right? You have to buy the display cases. I'm sure there's cost to buying the booth, right? Or getting your booth. And then there's the setup time. Walk me
Mhm.
through some of that, just so ballpark. I know everything's a little different. Every show is different, but
So the display cases that you see behind me, like I bought 2 of them, and I originally was using 2, but I kept 1. You can probably find display cases on Facebook Marketplace. You can find them pretty cheap, like $30. I was stupid and bought the Amazon ones for like $125, and they're not sturdy. I mean, it's made of plastic, and the plastic kind of it just wasn't too happy with the way the quality of it was. So, but you can probably find display cases for like 30, 40, $50. You can go to flea markets to find them typically. So there's that. And then card shows, case by case basis. Sometimes I pay 35, anywhere between 35 and $50 for the table.
Okay.
Depends on the table. It could be 6 foot. It could be an 8 foot table. So that's typically how it goes.
yeah.
Well, Steve, I kind of know. I think the tables at the show that you and I go to, I think they're like 20 or $25. So, I'm
Steal.
pretty certain they're not that expensive. So I thought to myself, I've got a ton of modern, and
Yeah.
just a ton of it. And I actually got it from a friend of mine. I've told the story several times where he was a breaker, and I would get, if it wasn't a parallel and autographed, I didn't care. So he said, do what you want with these. And I've considered just spending the $30 and doing it, and just see what, even putting them in a dollar box and say, hey, if I can make, 40 or 50 in a day, I've doubled my money on the 25 that I spent, and just 20 minutes from the house, and that $25 I can spend on something else. So I just don't know. My whole feeling is I don't know if I have the dedication to put that much time and effort into it. But if you were thinking about it, if you're getting, like if you have the time, I think it'd be an awesome way to go.
So what you're telling me, Jason, is you wanted to go in halves on a table with me at that show, right? And start selling some stuff. Is that what I heard you say?
You know what? I didn't even think about that till you absolutely just said that. But that might be we'll go halves, so it's like $12.50 a person, and then we'll just sit there and hang out all day. If we make any money, great. If we don't, who cares?
I had to check this out. So Orlando was talking about he sold a Keith Hernandez rookie. I don't know if it was SGC or PSA, but I didn't think it was going for that much money. That's wild.
Yeah, I think he had 2 of them, and they both graded pretty high. And Orlando, you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I remember him showing them. He had 2 really high graded.
Nice card. Yeah, it was a really nice card. I remember that. Most of Orlando stuff is really nice, but yeah, that was a sweet card. I didn't know the Hernandezes were that. I have a Hernandez that I haven't graded yet. I just picked it up. I didn't think they were that valuable, but
I think in a 9 they are, because it's a 75.
yeah, I didn't think it a 9. Yeah.
And actually, I didn't even think about it. We should have had Orlando jump on. He was a dealer for quite some time. My gosh, I didn't. Did he guide you in any way, Sammy? Because I know did you ever reach out to Orlando as far as what you were doing?
Yeah, I've asked him questions periodically about setting up and just just kind of getting some guidance. A lot of the times when I'm asking, like I ask Orlando about cards that I'm interested in that are at a show, and I'll say, Orlando, is this a good? Would you do this? And 9 times out of 10, Orlando would say yes, because of the fact that chances of you seeing that card may not happen again and Orlando, I know I'm I preached to the choir in this one. If you know if the card in front of you is not one you'll likely see that all that often, and you want to have it for your collection, it might be worth paying up to get it if that's what they're asking for.
Right. Right.
I've done that a couple times. But he will be on Sunday's live stream with me on For Collectors with the garage sale, card shows, and
Oh, very
flea
cool.
markets.
Very
I find
cool.
that intriguing, Sammy, because I have had no luck at any garage sales I've gone to looking for cards. Little bit of luck at flea markets, but I haven't been to enough. That's another thing. I think, when the day comes I retire, I'll have more time to check out a flea market here and there. But yeah, I haven't had a whole lot of luck at garage sales at all. Every garage sale I go to, if they have cards, it's usually some junk wax, and it's not even the good junk wax.
I've had some decent luck at garage sales, or more like an estate sale.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the way to go when they have the
Yeah.
estate sales. Yeah, and you get there early. If it's a 3-day estate sale and you get there real early.
Yeah, you got to get there early, right? Because they always start on Fridays. So, if you're working or Thursdays and you're working, you're not going to get there early. But yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
But
Sammy, do you sell
Yeah.
any other way, like via Facebook or via eBay at all? Like I know some people have, like Dylan has an eBay store. I know a lot of people have eBay stores. Do you do any selling that way?
not through eBay. I'll sell through Facebook. There's a Discord group that I belong to that I sell to sometimes. I haven't done it in a while, mostly because I've been focusing a lot of the time on the consignment that I have. And the one big rule that I took away from that is the guy, his name is Mike. He did not want me to sell on Facebook or he didn't want me to sell online because he generally does that. So he feels, and I can understand. He feels like he'd be, why have me do it when he can do it? But he's fine with me selling to people that reach out, like viewers of the channel reach out and say, hey, I saw you had this, because again it's going through PayPal at that point, so it's kind of the same as selling in a show generally, because with a viewer, we usually do friends and family and it's no problem. I mean, it's these guys watch me, so I'm not out here trying to scam anybody or take anybody's money. So
Right.
Yeah. Cool.
Would you
Yeah,
consider
eBay-
that, Steve? Doing like PWCC or eBay or anything like that?
Yeah, eBay for me, and maybe it's because I'm not retired. It seems like a lot of work. Like I worry about, you've got to you got to make the sell, then you got to ship the card, you got to make sure the card goes out, you got to worry about whether whether they want to return it or not. I've always thought it sounds like more work than it's worth. I have thought about, I have probably 200 to 250 cards I'd like to move. I have thought about going through Greg Morris. I know they charge more, but I think B Roth just released a video yesterday where it shows some of the stuff he sends to Greg Morris, and they take a lot of the work out of it. So I've thought about doing that, but haven't pulled the trigger on that either. But eBay worries me a little bit just because of the amount of work it seems like to me, but maybe it's not. Other people have told me it's pretty easy.
Well, they take a hefty chunk, right? Like I heard, it's like 15% or something like that. Is it not when it's all said and done? That's what
They
I've
do,
heard.
yeah. They take about 15 points, but Greg Morris takes like 25 points. But they do everything, right? You send them the card, they ship it, they send it, they do all the pictures and all. So and I think they take less for graded cards. I thought Mike Moynihan was on the other day. I think he said they take 15 for graded cards. So
Okay.
that's
generally
another.
B Roth has sent cards to Greg Morris. These are the cards that he's had challenges selling.
Yeah.
And but the thing about Greg Morris is that you have to send them a large amount of cards to make it worth their while.
Yeah, they want thousands of dollars. Like when I say I have 200 cards, I think they'd like to send them like $5,000 at a time, which is a lot of cards, right? That's that's a big chunk of change to be sending people, unless you're like Brian, who's buying collections and then he sells some and he's got stacks that haven't sold yet. He can afford to do that, but sounds like it's a little more difficult.
Yeah, Brian's now he bought that collection because the from a viewer of mine reached out to me asking if I was interested in the collection. The collection, I thought it was going to be a small collection, like $1,000 to $2,000 collection. I show up there and I'm like, oh my god, this thing is just it's unbelievable. And it was kind of I asked the guy if I can bring Brian with me to take a look because to kind of go into it with me. And it turned out that it was just like I just don't have the money to put into this. So Brian, being a full-time dealer, it makes more sense for him. He bought it up. They did leave me with some cool stuff though, so I appreciate that.
Finder's fee, finder's
Finder's
cool
fee.
stuff.
Brian and I agreed on a finder's fee, but there was just some parts of a very small portion of the collection that was like team issued cards. Like the guy would write letters as a kid to the team, and the team would send him stuff back.
That's cool.
So I was able to take that stuff away.
Hey,
So I'm assuming it was Yankee stuff and not Mets stuff.
It was a bunch of teams: Yankees, Mets, Reds. A lot of the stuff that I gave away was from that, like the Cardinals.
Yeah, I've got the schedule. Yeah, that was very cool.
The thing that Warren gave Warren or both Warren and Scott the Indians decal.
Okay.
From the 70s. So.
And I did see Warren's comment earlier. For the record, I call it the mass-produced era, not the junk wax era, because I know he's trying to ban that. He's on the Mangini train of trying to ban that. So.
I love that era of cards. I mean, the problem, there are so many great Hall of Famers in that era that I love the era of cards. It's I don't, when I say junk wax, I just the overproduced era. I'll go
Right.
with you.
Right. Oh, that was my prime time of collecting. So that's what I know, right? I mean, then I started in 84 and 84 through 89 were my prime collecting years. So got lots of it. And you know what? Never will get rid of it. Tons of it. And when I finally get the card room set up, you'll see just tons of, boxes of mass-produced cards. But I don't care. Or sets, full sets. So,
yeah, I've got quite a few of them I still want to send in to get graded, right?
It's one table.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sammy.
No, I'm just answering a question for Diamond Gems. He asked if I just get one table at a show. I always just get one.
Yeah, I think Bruce sets up at card shows too, if I'm not mistaken. I watched one. I wasn't really aware of that, and I was watching one of his videos. I think he said I was supposed to set up at a show, and he didn't. But Bruce, maybe in the comments you can tell us. I thought you do set up. I think you were going to go to an Indiana show and then didn't at the last minute or something like that.
Yeah.
It seems to be there's quite a few people that make videos out there or in the community that set up at tables, and you just don't know it, but they do.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting. Sammy, what's your take on graded versus non-graded when you go to sell them? I mean, my theory is, like, if it's a big boy card, it's always better to have it graded, right? Because it's graded, right? But if it's not a big boy card, is it better? I tend to have a theory, so you can tell me I'm crazy, but my theory is that, like, somebody will look on a 72 Clemente. They'll look at a 72 Clemente and they'll say, you might say that's a 4 or a 5. Somebody else might say it's an 8 or a 9, and they'd be willing to pay more for it than if you graded it and it actually was a 4 or 5. It kind of puts it into a lane. So what's your thought on that?
So yeah, I just sent in a submission recently at the East Coast National, and there were 8 cards that were from the consignment that were inventory. And there was like 2 cards from my own personal purchases that are going to be inventory as well. And these were probably the best out of the bunch. I'm very selective. So I remember buying that from the Strongsville, going through that box and buying a bunch of, like, probably 40, 50 cards, if not more. And Brian and I were in the hotel going through the stacks that we bought and be like, grade, not grade, grade, not grade. And so, but it was great because I was able to, like, Brian's a lot, he's a lot more experienced at this. So I asked him, I was like, here's my stack of cards that I'm planning on sending into grading. Take out the ones you think that won't grade well. And so he started going through it. He's like, yeah, probably not this one. Probably not this one. So yeah, when it comes to picking out cards from inventory that I bought raw to be graded, I'm very selective because you hate to be wrong. So, and thankfully, the ones that I have sent in so far from that group have have come out really well. Like a 59 Yogi Berra that I sent in came back as a 7. I've since sold that. The Lou Brock I sold that came back a 7 from the 64 set. So yeah, well, I mean, there's some cards that are just no brainers. Like to me, there's in that consignment was a 1950 Ted Williams, and it had tape on it, but the thing was so centered. So even if it gets like a 1 or a 2, which it probably will, no brainer. I mean,
Do you still have that, Sammy, or is that out for grading? Or
it's out for grading. Mhm.
yeah, he had a couple 50s in there, if I remember correctly. That was the big boy one, the 50 Williams, but you had a couple of them in there.
Here's a good example. Orlando brought up people pay up for eye appeal graded or not. Sammy sold the Gibson 5 for way more. I did.
Yeah.
That one I've had for a long time because that was going to be a collection keeper. And then my collection preference changed. And so I knew that one would be an opportunity to sell at the National. And I felt no pressure in selling it. But, you know, if I wasn't going to get the price that I wanted, then I would just hold on to it. No big deal. But I sold it to James Elite Hunters. And I don't mind sharing what I sold it for. I sold it for $1,000. And on the higher end, they go for about 1,200. So I knew I needed to leave a little bit of room for James to make money on it, which he ended up did making money. I think he sold it for like 1,250 or 1,300. It sold fast.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what he told. That's what he was sharing. But in that case, I mean, I paid $450 for that Gibson with a 59 Stan Musial card and what was the last one?
There were 3. I remember that
The
deal.
3.
Yeah,
And,
I remember that video.
And a 58 Cicada.
Yeah,
58 Cicada. And I paid $450 for those 3 cards. I sent them in for grading immediately. The Cepeda graded a 5. Actually, the Stan I didn't send in. I didn't think it was that. I thought it was strong, but not that strong. And so I sent in the Gibson and the Cepeda. The Cepeda I sold a while back, and the Stan I sold raw to somebody, and obviously the Gibson was the last one to go.
So I would tell you, Sammy, that you and B-Roth sitting in there going through the cards, if you're ever looking for an episode for 4 collectors, that would be, I would love something like that to watch, like the behind the scenes of, hey, here's what we got, here's what we feel was great, here's what we wouldn't grade. I think that would be a fun video to watch. So just
that might be the next movie that I make.
Sammy's becoming the king of the lives.
I turned Mangini into a star.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and I unintentionally took a shot at you, Sammy. I said, "Who did this? Was this John 3D80s kid?"
That's okay. I thought it was funny. Yeah, no. Well, to be fair, the trailer was iMovie. iMovie lets you kind of like plug and play.
Right.
So it does all the formatting for you. It just makes it look really good.
It looked fantastic. Even the video itself looked great. It was fantastic. Here I am, hodgepodging stuff together through iMovie, going, all right, this is what you're getting.
I'm the same way, Jason.
Right.
He's letting it get to his head, Warren. He showed up with sunglasses and a scarf. So most people assume John did the work. Sammy took a bow. I will.
Sammy openly says he's the Ringo Starr, so I had to assume.
Yeah, no, it's understandable. I kind of acknowledge myself that way, so it's understandable.
Ringo married a Bond girl, though, so it's not the worst thing in life.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that would be cool. I guess next Strongsville, we gotta have to figure that out. So
March, right? March.
No, they haven't announced, unless they announced a date for it. But I think in January is when they're going to announce it.
Okay.
That's my understanding of it. But John and Theo, I don't know. I guess it was the guy who runs Strongsville reached out to the Ford Collectors channel and offered passes, which is really cool. So
Orlando's got one too. I think
Yeah.
Orlando's got one. He's
Mhm.
he's already locked in.
I think they were very pleased with the fact. I love that Chris from Missouri suggests that we spent like $500,000
I know.
collectively
I
between
know.
everybody on cards.
I will tell you what, though, we boosted that show tenfold, and quite honestly, the entire community did it right. Everybody who was there was shooting a video and hyping it. I mean, Mangini didn't go, and he kept saying, "I'm sick of hearing about this Strongsville show," and now he's talking about going next year. So.
I'll admit when I'm wrong.
That
I
that
definitely
vid-
should have. I definitely should have went. I realized that I should have been with everybody. He was
That
actually
was-
he was really taken back by the East Coast National. I don't think he was expecting for it to be as big as it was, and I don't think he was expecting to buy anything. I think he was surprised. He was definitely surprised, and it's. I don't think I remember hearing him talk that way about the National. Even I think the East Coast National was, really big for him.
I think it's hard. Like I when we talk, everybody hyped up that Strongsville show, and I always try to tell people it's not a big show. So I mean, you were there, Steve. It's not much bigger than the monthly show we go to in Schaumburg.
it's a
really
hockey rink. It's inside
right.
a
It's
hockey rink.
yeah, it's
But
not much, but it's all vintage, right? And the hype of all of us getting together, meeting everybody. You know, that's the first time I met you, Steve. I mean, that hype was palatable. I mean, it was real. You know, and you had the connection because it was 4 days. We're all in the same hotel. It's all very confined. It's much smaller. The everything that I hear about the National is I just didn't have enough time. Well, you have enough time at Strongsville. You get that quality time with everybody, and the mayor of Strongsville, Chris throws that get together, and it's perfect. It works out real well.
yeah, it's hands down, I think, the best show I've ever been to. Like the cool thing is it is small, so you can't like turn around without seeing somebody you know. So when I bought a 69 Mantle and I was trying to debate which one to get, and Orlando was there and so was John from John P Collects, and I pulled them both over and we sat down and we looked at 4 different cards and they helped me to choose that card. Or the other time when you get a really nice card, you turn around and there's somebody you know right there, or more often than not, they're over your shoulder watching you negotiate the deal. It was a
Right.
blast. It was so much fun.
So Mookie's asking, is the Strongsville hockey rink as big as the basketball court in White Plains, same size? He's referring to the East Coast National. And I'll say this. The Strongsville is a little bit smaller, but they purposely set it up perfectly because they gave so much aisle space.
Yep.
It was so easy to navigate, and it was easy to find people. So it was like 3 rows, I think, but it was long. It was really elongated down. So you get 3 rows of nothing but vintage dealers. I don't know why people were selling modern. I saw some people selling modern there, but I guess they were trying to catch like the 0.1% of people that were coming there for that stuff.
I had a couple modern cars that I was potentially going to flip, right? And then I backed off of one of them. I kept it. And the one dealer that I was talking to was a modern dealer. And when we went to the National and went to Ash's dinner, Sammy, I was walking through and the guy's like, I knew I recognized you from somewhere. And I said, oh, do you watch the channel? I'm thinking, hey, that's cool. He's like, no, you had the Jordan Kobe. And I'm like, oh, you were the dealer. So he was one of the dealers who was at Strongsville, one of the modern guys. And he said, do you still have the card? I said, yeah, it's not going anywhere. It's staying with me. So, but yeah, I found that kind of cool. I'm like, all right, so there is a little bit of modern. I know there's I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying I'm just kind of acknowledging, yeah, there was a little bit.
Yeah, there was a little bit, but that to me is the show, even more so than the National, because you've heard it from others. You don't go to the National to get a deal. You're not necessarily going to score that massive deal. Strongsville to me is that show where you can potentially work that deal, or much like you said, Sammy, if you're going to see that card that you don't typically see, you're going to pay up because it's there, right?
Yep.
It's the only other show you're going to see it at.
That's what I did.
Besides potentially the National.
I don't know if I paid up for it, but this will be the first card we're showing tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, this one I got at Strongsville. This was my big boy card from Strongsville.
accidentally standing right next to you when you bought it. Not on
Exactly.
purpose.
You were there, man. You were.
That's how small it was.
But William Chappell's table. I think William Chappell, out of all the dealers, I've purchased from him probably the most.
Really?
Yeah, and then Ash. So I think, yeah, I'd say Chappell, Ash, Craig, and Stan a little bit, but mostly those two guys.
So William Chappell's at all of our local shows, all of the sports spectaculars. Have you ever been to a sports spectacular, Steve?
I have not. You and I have talked about going, so
Yeah.
all we got to do is just figure out when we're going to do it, Jason.
Yeah. So, I mean, they used to do them 3 times a year. They killed one and moved it to Indianapolis. So I think it's only twice a year now. There's one in November. But I typically always go to them, and Chappell's at every one of them, Williams at every one. And typically one of the first tables I hit is his. I mean, he's got a card that I've been looking at the last 3 shows he's been at. I know he's still going to have it. And I think I'm going to pull the trigger. I think I'm going to have to. So,
yeah, I think the other thing I loved about Strongsville, just like the National, right? You have the get-togethers, which is great to meet people. But the one thing I've learned is make sure you save some money for the get-togethers, because people show up at those things with some amazing cards, and you can get some great deals there too. So, which I think is fun because you're buying cards from other YouTube content creators who are looking to flip some cards to get some money to buy different cards. I loved it. I had such a blast in Strongsville. I liked it better than the Nationals that I've been to, only because of how tight it was and how close it was.
Also, make sure you wear deodorant.
and comfortable shoes. I will say this: the National this year was fun for me because we had the frat house, right? We had 11 guys, 15 guys staying in a house. That was fun for me. Now it's going to be a much different National for me over the next 3 years, for one reason only: it's home, Steve. So, like, you know, it's going to be real easy for me to, you know, sleep in my own bed at night. My wife has actually considered. She said, "Are you going to get a room?" And I said, "Well, why? You know, why? It's like 30 minutes away." And she's like, "Well, because you're going to have a good time. You're going to go out." And I said, "No, I can behave myself to get home." And so I said, "It's just too close. I don't know why, you know, I would do that." Although when she said it, I kind of considered like maybe I should still get a room. So
yeah, Rosemont's 20 minutes away from me, so
right,
I love it.
you're closer than me. You're closer than me.
It's good for me because the National always falls on one of my daughter's birthdays. It always falls on that time, and it's harder when it's outside of Chicago because, you know, when it's in Chicago, I can figure out how to get there on a Thursday night and do a Friday and maybe do a Sunday and leave Saturday for the family. But when it's in Cleveland or Atlantic City, it gets a little harder for me.
Yeah, I've actually considered for this next one, because the last one in Chicago, I didn't have a channel. That's where I first met Sammy and a few others as the quote unquote lurker. But I actually had even told my wife, I said, at this next National, I might take the week off. And just like if someone wants to go to a baseball game or guys are going to a Cubs or a Sox game, I'll be the driver, and we'll get you there quick. And I've considered being the, you know, like much like Scott did at Cleveland. He was like gracious enough to pick people up from airports and kind of entertain people, took us out to lunch. And so I kind of I'm like, maybe I should do that when we're back in Chicago for a couple people too.
So we're going to start over for Greg. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Cardboard and Cold Ones. Forget about the 54 minutes that you just watched. Greg just came in, so we have to start over. Our guest tonight is Steve, Vintage on Vintage. And Steve, thanks so much for coming on tonight.
Does Greg have a
Thanks
channel?
for having me, Sammy. This has been a blast.
Has he done his VR response for what has he hit 300 subscribers yet? Has he hit that yet?
We're not.
Ouch.
You can blame Mookie for that one. Mookie's the one who instigated that. I mean, let's go back to there you go. Can we start over for Greg, please? And then
I can openly tell you this, and I think Mookie would wholeheartely agree with me. Batman is probably the most underrated superhero on the face of the earth.
No, I'm gonna walk away.
Come on! I'm a huge Batman fan. Mookie. I saw Mookie's last video. I might have to start collecting Batman cards now.
Right, the Mancos. Weren't those Mancos cool? He showed a couple Mancos.
They were
like from
sweet,
Mandola.
yeah.
Awesome.
Orlando put it best. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. Yeah. Nah. Listen, I love superheroes. It's all good.
we
I
can.
know
We
Jason
can.
is drunk talking that nonsense.
I
So
gotta make Andrew happy. We'll have to show some basketball.
Oh yeah, I can settle for that.
Yeah, we've shown one card, Sammy, the entire show.
So
There you go.
yeah.
I'm just gonna show this every single week so that Andrew's satisfied. It's gonna be the same exact ruler every single week, no change. That's like being a method actor. You just stick to the plan.
Right. Well, not only am I going to break the rule with showing basketball, I'm going to top it off, and I'm going to show modern basketball.
Mine has like a blood stain on it.
My
You see it?
Yeah, right in the upper left, in the yellow,
glasses
right?
on for that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's got a blood stain on it. That's why I graded too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
This is
What do you got there? LeBron
That's
James.
everybody. That's
Little
everybody's
LeBron.
That's the LeBron rookie. So we got to make Andrew happy. Andrew supports us all, so I got to watch. I got to show a little
Yeah.
basketball. And
So
then this is the card.
He's not happy. He's not satisfied. Where's the wrestling cards?
Right. This is the card I would not get rid of and just won't get rid of now because it's two of my favorite players of all time. So that was my first official upcharge and one of my very few 10s that I own. So, but awesome card. So there you go, Andrew.
All right,
Sammy, I was watching. I've been watching your channel forever, and in the beginning, you used to break the 1970 basketball sets, the sportscards.com. Yeah, I used to love watching you break those cards because they're sweet cards. And you had some big winners.
Hey, don't
There
show
you
that
go.
off anymore. You don't need to show that card off anymore.
This came from one of those boxes.
That card is sold. That card is sold.
It is sold. I'm just showing. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's yours, man. No one's taking it away. All right, it's $50, guys. Anybody? No, it's this came from that box. I forget who else there were. Do you remember? I don't remember anymore.
You had a couple big hits. I don't remember. It was a while ago, Sammy. It was a few years ago, but you've had some big hits on that. I remember watching it and loving it because you never got the Maravich though, right? The Maravich rookie never showed up.
No, I never got the Maravich. God, who did I get? Maybe Havlicek was in there.
Yeah, I think you got a Hondo. I think you got a Hondo, and you may have gotten a Baylor. But I know you got a Clyde Frazier, but I know you didn't get the Maravich, unfortunately.
I do need the Chet Walker as well, the 69 Chet Walker, Andrew.
I probably have the
Chet the Jet.
Let me see.
I believe he's part of the Chicago Bulls Ring of Honor, so I got to get the Ring of Honor.
Let's see. I'll go through the binder that I have.
It's probably got a Bob Love too, Jason.
I already have the Bob Love.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm the loser who already has the Bob Love.
He was a good ball player.
He was both him and Chet were great ball players.
Yeah, they're both
for me.
And you throw Jerry Sloan in there, right?
Yep, but he's got the worst rookie card in all of sports history. So
don't tell me I don't have the Chet. Oh, I do. I have a Chet Walker, man. Hold on.
Are you selling it? Are you? That's your.
Yeah.
Is it? You are?
Yeah. This is the. Oh, let me go full screen on this sucker. Hold on. I'm definitely messing this up.
How's it look? Is it sharp?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
But, I don't want to touch it, but
just tell me what that costs, and we'll tack it onto the. So, I mean, I might as well buy it from you, right? I mean, I might as well. I mean, centering's not an issue for me, Sammy. I don't need to be Dylan approved.
Well, this one is so off center that if you had a lazy eye, you would think it's centered.
So, just tack it onto the JoJo that I'm buying, and
no problem. I'll put it aside.
I'll PayPal you, and then we'll figure out how.
Listen, you have 40 hours to get the money over here.
I know, no kidding. Dude, I gotta go. I can't. I'm gonna be like Chris. I'm gonna wait 2 years to pay you, like it took him to pay John.
Is that really what happened?
No.
Oh. I mean,
Chris was good for it. I'm just razzing him. Yeah, we didn't. I don't know if you brought any cards, Steven. The only reason I said Sammy and I are so off the cuff and not very well organized. I'm like, yeah, just bring whatever you want. And I've got
Yeah,
a
show
picture.
cards, man.
Yeah. What you know what you should show? I don't know if you have shown it on the channel if I'm not mistaken. The last show you and I went to, the big boy that you picked up.
Yeah, I don't have it with me. It's
Okay.
upstairs. I'd have to run up and go get it.
Okay.
Because this is so I buy my cards, and then a way for me to get more cards, I buy birthday and Christmas presents and Father's Day presents to give to me. So when I was in Strongsville, I was buying Father's Day's presents for me. And that one I picked up is going to be a birthday present, but it was a really nice 53 Eddie Matthews. So
Ooh.
And wasn't it
yeah,
a 5? Wasn't it a 5? Was it a 5?
it was a 6. It
It was a
was a
6.
PSA 6. I love I mean, the 53 set's got some really great cards. It's probably my favorite Eddie Matthews card. So, but I don't have it with me. I have the 55 Aaron, but
Yes.
I don't have the, I don't know how to get it without the glare, guys.
No,
But
that's fine.
No, you're doing great.
That's
You're doing good.
perfect. That is beautiful. Mine's a 1.5, and mine is so miscut. It's ridiculous.
Hey, Steve, are you selling?
Double checker. Wait, Steve is a regular buyer of Dylan, by the way. Him, Dylan, and Steve.
I've kept some of Dylan's whatnots going. I love Dylan's whatnot sales, by the way. And I've sent in. So the last submission I sent in two Junior Gilliams I picked up from Dylan. So I'm hoping to get those back. One was a 54 and one was a 58, and I love those cards.
Yeah, I need to find any Hall of Famer from the 71 set in an SGC 7, and I'm just going to buy it for Steve because he's on the elusive hunt of trying to get a 71 and a 7.
I cannot get, and the 6.5 is the best I can do.
I finally broke that barrier. I sent in a 71 Ted Simmons, and it came back a 7.
Did it
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, I sold it. I sold it.
Ah. What did that? Do you mind me asking what that went for, Sammy? Roughly, you don't
Like
have to.
225.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
I sold it for under. I think I sold it for under comps. Look at
There's
that.
a 6.
Yeah. Oh, Theo's on. He'll like
Yeah,
that.
Theo was asking about that. Tell Steve I need one of his 71 Clementes.
Well, he knows the story behind one of them. I bought for $200. The other one I found at an antique store for $32. So I bought it for $32 and it graded a 6. Like those are everybody's got this is my win story. There's also been the times I've overpaid, but that was one of my big hits. So I know Theo and I have had that conversation before. Someday, Theo, maybe the National will talk.
So you have 2 and a 6 then, Steve? You have both of them in a 6?
I do. I have 2. I have 2 and a 6. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Theo said he'll pay you $32 for one of them. So
I knew he would too.
That's fair. Make it 35. He needs to make a little money.
Theo and John, man, they just Pepino and I are just kind of sitting back, we eating popcorn, watching those two go at it.
Yeah, that would be fun to be in the production meeting with those two guys.
The four collectors production. Friends sell for price they paid.
Yeah, I'm just kind of rummaging through cards, seeing what's worth. I can't show any modern.
Greg is offering $5 on top of what you paid.
Oh, you know what? I'd like to show
Love
this
it.
card for. I'd like to show this card for Greg specifically because it's phenomenal.
Oh, Harold
Oh
Harold
yeah.
Baines.
There it is. The man, the myth, the legend right there. Probably the greatest Hall of Famer of all time. Deservedly so. Can't believe he's not a first ballot.
Well, here's a first ballot for you.
Yeah, that's a little bit different than what I just showed.
That's a real first ballot.
Yeah, right. That's a real card.
But my camera can't acknowledge it for its awesomeness.
So it's gonna.
My
keep
camera
it fuzzy.
refuses.
That is too nice. The glint off of Willie's face has just got to make him fuzzy no matter what.
Damn it. Okay, there we go. I was gonna stay here until the camera finally acknowledged. But it's a 6. This one I got from William Chappell's table at the Philly
Oh, you did?
show.
I didn't know that.
At the Philly show.
Okay.
So
God, he goes to he's out of Indianapolis, so he does go to the Philly show, huh?
he does, yeah.
Okay. Was Garrett there? You didn't see Garrett there, did you, by chance?
Garrett was at the East Coast National.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he was hanging out with Ash. They both went to Fanatics Fest on that Saturday, and they came back. Oh, I think Garrett might have bought some stuff, but he was with Ash, and Ash was buying up everything. He was just, it was crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna make a confession. I made a PSA submission yesterday. I clearly enjoy being punched in the face. I have fun waiting 6 months.
Yeah, no, if it's vintage, it might be 8 months. So,
Well, he had to try.
yeah.
SGC's turning around fast though lately. Again, I'm pretty excited about
Yeah.
that. They got mine back in less than 2 weeks. It was pretty fast.
Yeah, I only
Jason.
go. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh,
I just wanted to show this to you, Jason, because
Yeah.
we were talking about this the other day. So this is my Koufax in a 5, and Jason and I were at a card show a couple of weeks ago, and I picked one up in a 4.5, and I'm like, that's a really well centered Koufax. I gotta have that. I didn't even realize I already had one. I'm that much of an idiot. But so I've got 2 now, Jason.
Well, you see how that works, Sammy. So now he's got to sell that 4.5. So who's he going to sell it to? It's probably going to be me.
Yeah.
So
Look
I'll
at this.
just buy
you're like you know you buy the island of misfit toys. You know?
it. right. And I'm quite content with it. I love it. So,
It's like buying the off-store brand Fruit Loops.
right, exactly. Yeah, the 4.5. Now, I was with you when you bought the 4.5, and that was a good-looking card, Steve.
Yeah,
I mean, if
it
you
looks,
look,
it
I'm sorry,
looks
go
the
ahead.
same. It looks like it's really well centered card. It's a beautiful card. It's in an old SGC slab, but it's a beautiful looking card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's yeah.
So then you sell the 5, make a little more money, and then keep the 4.5.
Sell the grade, not the card.
Right. That's
Yep,
right.
yep.
Buy the
Exactly.
card. You buy the card, not the grade, and you sell the grade.
right. Exactly.
That's the way it works in the alternative universe of dealers.
That's phenomenal.
That should be a new motto. Here's my
goodness.
national big boy.
That's
Who
a
were you
beauty.
with when you bought that, Sammy? Because I wasn't with you. You bought it early, like Wednesday.
I was with Don, a show and me. I don't know if he's
that's
here.
right. That's right.
I needed Don to kind of encourage me because I wasn't 100% ready to do it. But then Don was like whispering in my ears, like, man, this card is going to be worth a lot more someday. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know if I'm ready to. No, you're ready. You can do it.
You can do it. You can do it.
Yeah, I mean, Don collects nothing but pre-war, so I was like, he's
Right.
the guy, and he's around. I was like, hey, Don, do you mind walking back with me over to this guy's table? I feel as though it's always better to walk with a group or multiple people at a table because it's like a little bit of you're a little more comfortable because then you have someone like a second opinion of somebody, or show the scorecard back. You have a second opinion, so. Yeah,
It's tough for me. I actually enjoyed lone wolfing it a little bit at a show.
I did go. Yeah, shut up, Mookie. Nobody needs to know that. I have no regrets. I could have bought it in Jersey. He's right. He's absolutely right. I could have bought this in New Jersey.
Yeah, you've said that. You've said you saw it in Jersey, right?
Yeah. So, but the problem is that while that was available, this became available.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, this is a card I've been really looking for quite some time. So I was like, I'm going after this one. And
Which
then
Orlando has now, right? Does Orlando have one? He got one at the National, I thought.
No, I don't know if he got. No, he got the Hires Root Beer card with the issued card with the full tab.
Right.
That one was pretty. That one was stunning. I think he bought that one graded. Yeah, he bought the graded one, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, man, this card became available. I was like, no brainer. When am I gonna? I would say that these are on equal footing. I think this one is probably tougher. There's about 12 or 13. the crazy thing about this one is that there was another one for sale at William Chappell's table, and there's a guy, Tony, who ended up buying it, and we ended up meeting seeing each other at the get together, and we both took a picture holding up our.
That's what I was
Coca-Cola
thinking of. That's
Yeah.
exact. That was. I remember that picture. You guys were standing next to each other downstairs, and you both. Had the
Yes.
same, yeah.
So
yeah.
we were 2 of the 14 people that have that card,
That's crazy to me.
and this
That's
is the
crazy.
this is the only. Go back. This is the only PSA 1 that exists, from my understanding. I think the one that he had was authentic, and funny enough, was much better looking than the one I have. Mine has like like rat crap all over it or something like that.
Well, what was the designation to authenticate his only? What did he get?
His was authentic.
Yeah, but was
There
there
was
a
6. What's that?
was there a what's the word I'm looking for? A mark, or when they did he go with PSA? Is it graded from PSA?
It was already graded. It was with PSA.
Okay, but it didn't what qualifier is what I'm thinking of. It didn't get a qualifier.
No. It just
Okay.
said authentic on it. Orlando clarified. He bought the card. He bought it raw. So I bet Orlando, you sent it in, I assume, right?
I thought he said he might not because he doesn't like how big the slab is with SGC.
That's true. Yeah, he did say
Yeah.
that. Never mind.
Yeah, and the picture I was thinking of when I said it was Orlando was actually you, Sammy. It was. I remember you took the picture with Tony, with that gentleman Tony.
Yeah. Theo's asking, what's a guy got to do to be on this show? I mean, Theo's collection is pretty amazing too.
Theo,
you
if
gotta
they'll
have
have me on, they'll have anybody on, my friend. Just bring a cold beer.
Not true. Not true. I just need a stooge that will just run his mouth for 2 hours. No, that was yeah. I mean, we'll have a half 2 collectors.
Yeah. Call it 2 collectors, and I'll just be the sidekick.
You'll be like you'll be the 5th Beatle.
Right.
Actually, no,
Exactly.
That one belongs to Mangini or Dan. Depends on they have to fight it out.
Right. As far as the 4 collectors, who's the 5th Beatle? Right.
Yeah,
Right.
pretty much.
Who's
So
Pete Best?
he did send it. He sent it to SGC for protection. Understandable.
Yeah.
Sammy makes me and Matt look like turds.
Here it comes. You get about an hour, just over an hour, and then now they'll all start
All
flying.
you need to do is get drunk with Jason. I can't because I got to work tomorrow.
I did that with Chris at the National.
We walked around with beers, and I remember because I don't think I had anything to eat all day, so that one beer was like filled me up enough to like feel a little bit of a buzz.
Sure.
But I just remember going back to the Misfits house that night, and Dylan had like 2 beers, and that was it. Like that, that was it. He was.
Well, with ratio to body weight and size,
I know.
probably all
It's
it takes.
incredible. I mean, having Dylan stay with the Misfits is like what is it? Oil and
Oil and water, or it's like the Chihuahuan crack running through the house.
It's a perfect recipe. But
you guys are killing me.
Yeah, it's usually how it works. Steve, we'll go off the rails. It's very informal. So once Sammy starts going through the comments, then it's just reply and respond.
I appreciate that, Matt.
Fun. Oh, Matt's around. Matt's
one
of my favorite people.
I don't know. I appreciate that, Matt. I can't really pat myself on the back that much. I mean, there are guys that have crazy good stuff when it comes to that, including yourself.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Matt and Theo. Matt and Theo are pretty well.
They're pretty
equipped with their player collections.
Yeah, Matt's Aaron collection is crazy good.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and he's got some Spawnies now too.
I think that's the next step. So that's my whole point with like being focused like that. I just can't do it, right? I mean, then you'd have to move on to another plan. my whole point is well-rounded collection for me, right? Get a little bit of everything, and like you said earlier, Steve, all you want are 2 or 3 Stargills, and that's good for you. That's exactly how I look at things. Give me 2 or 3 of, this guy and that guy, and however many guys there are, and that's what I prefer.
Yeah, there's a couple guys like Aaron, Koufax, maybe Clemente that I'd like to make the run on, but there's not. It's hard to make the run on everybody, right? If you start try to make the run on everybody, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know that I'd ever finish anybody, to be quite honest with you.
Right.
I'll never stop showing this damn card.
That's a gorgeous.
You got me hooked on getting one. Now I got to get one. I saw. Didn't Chappell have a Monty Irving?
He had a whole bunch of them, man.
Yeah,
he had a
I think
whole
he had a
bunch of
Hodges
them.
too, if I'm mistaken.
There we go. I knew this camera would work.
That's
But-
just beauty.
As soon as I saw that Chappell had a crap ton of these, I told Drew of Vintage Legacy because he was looking for a Carl
Erskine. Carl Erskine.
Erskine,
Yeah.
yeah. And he like beelined it over to the table. I'm glad he bought it, but I was shocked. I was not anticipating Chappell having like a display case full of these guys. Because
That whole case, Sammy, was all of the quote unquote, don't use the word, non-standard issued cards. So he had Stallmeyer.
Oddball.
Yeah,
Oddball.
He had Coke Tips, he had Drakes, he had Stallmeyers. I mean, that whole
Yeah.
case. Keith from
Insane.
Lonely Basement Cards bought his Bazooka mantle from that case. I mean, just there he is. There's no, yeah. So, just that was the case, and it was off on the side, and it was
Yeah. It was very much like, well, he had the Mantle Stallmeyer, he had the Maze Stallmeyer, I think in a separate case, and then like it's just crazy cool stuff that he had. And then I bought the thing I bought from Chappell this time around was I was with Greg when I bought this, the Matthew
They
Support.
put them on again. Oh yeah,
That's beautiful.
that is a beautiful card. Wow.
And he was getting offers all day for like $950. Can you do $950? And Chappell was like, I'm not, no. So he had it marked at 11. I said, Chappell, we've done business before. I want to be fair. Let's do 1,000. And he was like, okay, let's do that.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect, actually, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes the most sense.
Beauty.
Yeah. And now I've started a new project, putting together because the Seaver, I know if the Seaver 68 Bazooka is just not going to happen right now. And if it does, great, because it's not a card that goes for crazy amounts of money.
Right.
But what I'll do now is I will focus my attention on getting all the portraits of the New York Giants.
No, that's cool. I like that.
So we got Fred Merkle from East Coast National. I feel bad for this. I mean, he's dead, but I feel bad for him anyway.
Are we going to Merkel's when you come to Chicago? We got to go. There's a bar called Merkel's. Right
Oh, is there?
Wrigley, yeah, right by
I'm
Wrigley
gonna bring
Field.
this with me and take a
Is it
picture.
really?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We'll definitely go there.
Yeah.
Is
it?
It's not named after him though.
Yes, it is.
Is
Yes,
it really?
Yeah, it is.
Is he from the Chicago area?
No, the whole Boner play was to help the Whites or help the Cubs, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's
So the
true.
whole point is he helped the Cubs. So
Man, Johnny Evers is an asshole. Let's just call it for what it is. Johnny Evers is just he was like whining and crying that the Pirates got away with one. And so he was like, when he saw the Giants did the same exact thing, he was like, "You need to. It's a tie game."
So was he an asshole or was he resourceful?
Maybe a little bit of both.
And I'm not a Cubs fan necessarily, but yeah, we'll go to Merkel's. There's another bar right in the Loop, right in downtown the Loop. It's a restaurant that's been there forever. It's called Miller's Pub, and they've got a whole half wall dedicated to Bill Veeck. And I told Scott Reindeer Studios, I'm like, when you come to Chicago, now all this is far from Rosemont. But I said we need to go to Miller's Pub and you can see the Bill Veeck wall. So
You're going to be the Scott of next year's National.
I think so, and which is fine by me. I'm good with that.
Veeck was an interesting guy. He tried to move into the LA market before the Dodgers got there. I mean, he just got denied. But
Right.
Veeck was a pretty interesting guy.
Oh yeah, who just did the video? Was it? It might have been Bruce Diamond Gems just did a video on the little person who for the St. Louis Browns, who he put
Oh,
into play.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, like the anniversary was a couple days ago, like 3 or 4 days ago. So I think Stooks may have done something on it as well. So yes, I watch a lot of YouTube channels. If you can't tell, so
I am selling this one right now.
Got to put the glasses back on.
Keep them on, man. Keep them on.
it's a 6.
Yeah.
I thought you sold that already, Sam.
No, not yet. I sold the Monty Irvin Stallmeyer.
That's okay.
But, problem is nobody wants Monty Irvin. They want the Maze. Everybody that I've tried to sell this to is like, oh, do you have the Maze? I'm like, yeah. I'm not selling it."
Yeah, and which I don't understand. Like I think Monty Irvin, a little, much like Dobie, a little bit underrated in the hobby, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe
Yeah.
not the quality player. I see where you're going, Steve. Where you're kind of not the quality player that Dobie was.
Dobie was a pretty fantastic. Irvin's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but
Right,
Dobie was. I mean, he was like Jackie Robinson, just few weeks late.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I mean, he was a great ball player.
Patty, you're insane.
So
Absolutely
keeps
insane.
it.
So the Maze keeps Irvin.
Yeah, Orlando's like, no.
Mr. Petty's been kind of quiet. I haven't seen him online or bopping around.
No, he's there. I mean, listen, I'll go through all the comments of Petty. Here we go. Here's another one. Hold on. Here's another one. And he's a little quiet. Oh, nope, there's another one.
See, I hate that I can't see the comments on this iPad. I got to figure that out, Sammy. Every time we jump on a live.
Petty's been active, man. Petty's been kicked off and banned from multiple channels, and he cares not. Cue Mike Petty.
You're always allowed on my channel, Petty.
No, he was with us. Yeah, he was with us 2 weeks ago.
Right.
It was quite a time. I love Petty. Love having him on. He's such a good guest.
Best part about having Petty on, Steve, is we were all talking backstage, going, all right, what do we want to talk about? This is kind of where we want to go with Petty. I talked to Sam. I said, what do you want to do? He's like, nothing. I'm like, yeah, just let Petty go. That's the end of it.
Just open the box and let him go.
That's the prep for the live. Just let Petty go.
Well, we generally just feed off of each other, and that kind of just works amazingly well.
I absolutely love it.
That's the secret sauce of this show. We talk nonsense and we have fun. There you go. See, like there you go. Exactly.
The alcohol doesn't hurt either, guys.
Oh, absolutely not. No. Oh, that's liquid courage.
That's the key. Well, that was what was the trigger, Sammy? We were doing lives, and every time we did a live, you were drinking, and I found, well, I'm gonna go grab a beer, and like I don't even. And then we're like, well, let's just do this weekly. Let's just drink and talk. So
I'm waiting for the day where we go to a national and someone's like, "Hey, look, it's the cold ones and cardboard guys." They get it backwards on purpose. And I'm like, "Yep, you got it right." To be fair, I definitely did that.
Yeah, for about the first 3 or 4 weeks. He's like, "What's it called again? What's it called?"
Yeah, I keep forgetting the name of this show.
No, that's phenomenal.
I'm just waiting for that day. The best story that I've had for like my Mookie knows his story. I've told this a number of times, but it's he wasn't there for it, but I told him afterwards, and he and Pete were just laughing hysterically over it. Is my best interaction story of someone spotting me was at the Philly show. There was a guy sitting down who was going through boxes of stuff like set building or binders of stuff. And I asked the dealer for something, and the guy looks up and he goes, "I recognize your voice. You're Sammy Thunder." I'm like, "Oh yeah, nice to meet you." Like nice interaction, nice introduction. Right. I start to walk away, and the guy turns to the dealer. He's like, "You know who that guy is? That's Sammy Thunder." And the dealer goes, "Who the fuck is Sammy Thunder?"
That's phenomenal.
There it is.
That is awesome. That's how I met Mitchell. When early on, he was the first YouTuber I ever met. We were at the Schaumburg show, and he was talking. And I said, "You're a White Sox fan and card collector." And I said, "I recognize your voice." I didn't know what he looked like. And I said, "I recognize your voice." And that was early in his channel. And we've chatted ever since. So Yeah, and then it's funny how it all works, right? I mean, I did a VR response today for Darren for his 1,000 subs, and I just commented. I said I'm amazed at how many new channels there are. Because Steve, you've been doing this longer than Sammy has, correct? You're going on 5 years or no?
No, I'm
No.
behind Sammy, but I have
Okay.
been doing it a while. Yeah.
Okay. Because you want to shout out the newer channels under 300 subs, and me being one of them. And I could rattle off like 15 or 20 of them that I watch now. There's a lot of new channels out there now.
So Sammy was the second or third channel that ever gave me a shout out. He's given me a couple shout outs, so thank you, Sammy. But he was, I think, the second channel that gave me a shout out when I started doing YouTube videos.
Okay. Very
I
cool.
tend to give shout outs. I was giving lots of shout outs.
Yeah.
Early, I was doing a lot of them early on.
Did it for me. Orlando did it for me, and
Yeah.
now I just plaster my face everywhere, and
You're everywhere. It's like 4 nights in a row, Jason. It's like watching Friends reruns, for God's sake.
The reality of it is they're like, this guy is a pathetic loser. He's got no life. He's on every single night.
I like this thought. I'm definitely going to do a custom shirt. That is perfect. But it won't be Thunder. It's going to be Blunder. Anyway, the best part of that movie yesterday was when John wasn't recognized. The dealer recognized me, but then he didn't recognize John, and so John had to be like, "I'm John Mangini."
Right. But then John he backtracked on it and he said, "Well, I think I bought from you before, so you might have seen it on Facebook." Someone recognized you in the movie.
Oh yeah, this guy Andy. He was one of. He's like we've done trades before. I think he might have bought from me once. He loves the window shop, and I appreciate that because I could be a window shopper too.
Right.
We're all window shoppers,
right?
To some degree, but yeah, Andy's a nice guy. He actually grew up in the same neighborhood that I live in now.
Okay,
so that was cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, Mookie's giving you love.
Thank you, Mook. I was talking work. It was actually a lot of fun. I did
that
not
was a great episode.
I had no idea that people had that much interest in that.
Best part is when John gave the dealer an extra $100. Well, actually, it wasn't 100. He gave him like an extra 20 or 30. He did that twice too. He gave the dealers more money. I'm like, John, you're really rolling the dice, man. Like, I mean, the dealers. A lot of these dealers are, like, they're fine. Like, they're they're not going to try to rip you off.
No.
But it was just funny how, and like the entire time, John was like, I can't read that, Sam. Can you tell me what it says?
I saw that. What does that say?
What does that say? I can't.
And you're like, what, Gaudi? No, the price.
Oh no, it was yeah. I don't know what he was like. I mean, I guess I should have known better, but
right.
Like, no, man, I know all the sets. That's with the price. The $4,100 card. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, it was fun walking with him.
Was that was that the first card he looked at?
No, the first card he looked at, like the one that he asked the dealer to take out, was the Tris Speaker.
That's card. Right. Yeah, he thought it was Ty Cobb because it's a similar pose.
I mean, to be fair, it was in the far back of the display, so you couldn't see it. But yeah, he took it out and he was looking at it, and I've bought from those guys before, but I didn't know him too well, so I couldn't really assist in being like, So he's like, for $600, it's a no question.
Yeah, correct. That was correct.
But listen, it was cool to watch John buy because, I mean, John's not concerned. He's not overly concerned about like making a killer deal on a card. His main thing is really just if a card speaks to him, the price is almost kind of secondary in a way. So it's kind of it's a unique way. I mean, we're so conscious about trying to, pay as little as possible, but John doesn't seem to think that way, which is interesting.
I think that's awesome. I think
it's nice.
If you can do that, I think it's perfect.
Well, I think there's some cards you overpay for, right? Or you're willing to pay for, right? If they just speak to you.
Right.
Well,
sure enough.
in this case, John also, he knows how to. I mean, I'm not saying he does this consciously to, as like a strategy. I think he's just naturally the charisma that he has is very authentic. So when he's talking with dealers, he's joking around with them. Because there's always a little. I don't know. I guess someone might argue that there's always a little bit of like maybe anxiety or tension between dealer and buyer, because dealer wants the most money, buyer wants the least amount of money spent. But again, it's just John just goes into it thinking not so much about the money, but thinking about, ooh, this is a good card, this would be great. How much are you asking for? Just
right.
I mean, you saw the interaction he had about the Hank Greenberg. He was joking with the dealer, thinking it was off center, and it really, it was not off center.
Well, he even the dealer said, "What?" And John's like, "I'm joking." He's like, "Oh, I thought I missed something."
Yeah. So little things like that, and that dealer will probably remember him going forward because of his antics of just joking around. And
I might remember him also because he was standing next to Sammy Thunder. So the one thing I'll say is that there were people that went up to him that recognized him and acknowledged, like, oh, Mangini, I love your channel. And he's like, oh, it's a pleasure to meet you. Oh, it's so cool. You watch my channel? Of course. That's a given. I mean, he's been doing it for a while too. So
he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and he's all over Facebook. He's posting his cards on Facebook. I mean, he's everywhere at this point. So
yeah, he's been on the Four Collectors channel. He was like 3 or 4 times this past week. So
that's awesome. I think that's cool.
That dealer will remember him because he bought the movie on Blu-ray. Oh man.
Mook is always top notch.
Oh, he's a funny man.
I think my next movie is going to have to be with on Mike Petty. I'll have to follow him around one day at the Strongsville show.
You won't be able to keep up.
No, I will, and that's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So,
you'll be wore out after about 2 hours.
The problem is that I can't record the check because it has his account number and the routing number on there.
Right.
So you throw cash out there, not a big deal, but you throw a check, it's like I'm gonna ruin Petty by doing that. I can't do that. So
I will say when he was buying his big cards at Strongsville, it drew the YouTube crowd. John P. happened to be looking at a card at Ash's table off on the side at the same time, and I almost felt uncomfortable. I'm like, let Petty do his thing, man. Like, we need to back off of this a little bit and let him do his thing. I felt like bad that everybody was around him watching him do this. I'm like, just let him do his thing, and we'll kind of stay on the side.
Wait, so there was a card that you said John P. wanted that Petty was going for?
No. John P. happened to be at Ash's table buying a card at the time that Petty was buying his big card.
Okay.
And everybody was gathered around Petty.
Oh.
And I was with John looking at the card, and we happened to be there, and I'm like, look at this. But I almost felt bad, So John and I are off in the corner, and there's like a freaking crowd around Petty, and I'm like, leave him. I almost wanted to say, everyone take 5 steps back and let Petty buy his card. And I felt bad for him. I'm like, goodness.
Let Petty cook. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let Petty
He's
cook.
the Heisenberg of this community.
That's right. High grade. Say my name, Petty.
The movie will be called Petty Cash: The Epic of Watching Mike McDaniels. Greg edit that out. And when I can find the check for 10 minutes, and Darren was teaching me how to pay. Oh my God.
But who's not going to remember that? Were you there, Steve? Were you? You couldn't have been there because I think we were probably looking for you because John and I were looking for a card that he wanted to get, and so we were specifically looking for him. You must have been somewhere else.
I was not at that spot at the time. I was in the other end of the hockey arena looking for something.
Right.
You need to film the dealer's reaction when Petty pulls out of his checkbook.
I think Ash just did this.
Petty wants too many cards. That's the problem. Wants a lot of ice cream cards.
Right.
Those yin yangs. Oh man, that's gonna be good. I'm because the film, like the whole movie thing was. I know it was a ridiculous idea to do it, but I thought it would just be people would bite into that the whole premiere and
Everybody bit
trailer.
into that.
Oh, yeah,
I
I thought
bit
it'd be
into
fun.
it. I'm like,
Yeah.
that
But
was
doing
awesome.
it for Petty, I mean, man, doing it for Mangini was awesome. Doing it for Petty would be just, oh my god! And there's already a trailer because it was already made.
Right. You need to get that voiceover guy who, back in the day, Mike Petty. You know,
You know who did it though, right? You know who did that?
no.
That was John, 3D80s kid.
Was it really?
Really?
Yeah. Actually, hold on. I think I might have the one that he was going to do for Mangini. I'll play it for you.
It was John?
Yeah, John sent that.
That's
Or John. I think John made it. I know Mookie worked on it a little bit. But,
John is the
oh, man,
John
where
is the hardest working man in YouTube.
Yeah, he seriously is.
Yeah.
He
He
really
really
goes
is,
over the
yeah.
top. But yeah, I gotta find this thing. I mean, this is when I heard it. It's gonna take a second to find it, but
No worries. We'll keep busy chatting away.
yeah, keep doing that. Keep
Just
doing that.
looking. So, are the thoughts for you, Steve? Are you going to Strongsville next year?
I would like to, yeah. It's funny thing because I told you the national always falls around one daughter's birthday. Strongville always falls around another's. But yeah, I loved Strongsville. I definitely want to go. As a matter of fact, if it depends. So, we have the place up in Michigan, so sometimes I just take off from there. But if not, you're looking for someone to carpool with, I'm the man.
Yeah, no, that's certainly that. I don't have a problem doing that. And I know a lot of people were banging on the hotel. It wasn't bad enough for me not to go there again for the convenience of it. So I know some of the Misfits were talking about their house in Cleveland was closer to Strongsville than it was Cleveland the National. So they were talking about getting that house again. I said nothing beats being across the parking lot. I'll take it every time. I'll deal with the bad water and the not working elevator to be literally across the parking lot. So
Yeah, so John and I went a different route. We went.
Sorry.
is that it?
I found
got
the
it?
audio clip.
Play
Yeah.
it.
Okay, let's
Go
hear
ahead.
it.
You can-
In a world full of sports card investors, one man stands alone, buying cards and collecting $3 at a time.
That's John. Very good. Very good. That is phenomenal.
That was very clever. He's very good on the spot.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
on
he's
a
witty as
different.
heck.
He's on a different level when he makes videos. That guy's really good.
He's just witty. There's a couple out there. I did a shout out today. Doug, Video Guy 316, does a lot of real high end editing.
Yeah.
Does a really good job with it.
There's just not enough time. I'm sorry.
I did a video today for this VR response to Darren, and I showed the 56 Jackie that I want, and I couldn't get the card small enough to fit in frame. And I'm calling my daughter, and I finally said, screw it, and I just left it. So it's just outside of frame. I'm like, it's fine. I'm like, that'll work. They know what I want.
Jason, I just filmed my computer screen for crying out loud. Like,
right.
Oh man. But yeah. Good times all around. I think Strongsville's probably gonna be in April again. I don't know about staying at that hotel. I mean, I guess you have to. You really have no other choice.
I mean, wasn't that bad? I mean,
Well, you do have a choice. I think a lot of the guys, some of the guys might be putting up for, because I think the Misfits house was closer to Strongsville than it was to
correct
the National. So they might do that one again.
so John P and I stayed at a hotel that was like a 5-minute drive. Like we decided to go late, and we each booked a hotel room, and it's like a Best Western or something. It was only 5 minutes away. It was pretty easy drive.
and nice. Wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it was a typical. I mean, it's a Best Western, right?
Right.
But elevators worked, and the room was clean, and the water was good.
Right.
Hey, welcome everybody to another edition of Cardboard and Cold Ones. Wanted to reset for Billy Ball sports cards. Billy, thank you so much for coming. I'm here with co-host Jason, Everyday Card Collector, and our guest of the night is Steve, Vintage on Vintage. Steve, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, Sammy. Welcome, Billy. Good to see you,
Now
my
everybody
friend.
start over.
Sometimes I just like the bus chaps.
I know it's fun.
It's all good. We all have things that get in the ways of.
Billy, you're right on time. The show usually lasts about an hour and 40 minutes. You're right on time.
Third reset. I'm able to just stop on cue and just start over again if we need to.
Right.
I think it's now going to become routine. Like if Greg shows up late or Billy shows up late, this is going to be the new thing.
Rerun it. Rerun it.
Rerun it, loop it back in. Yeah.
Exactly. But is there a card that got you back into the hobby?
I know what yours is. Yeah.
Yeah, Larry
Yeah.
Legend, man.
Yeah. What got me back into the hobby? I can't pinpoint a card like you have, Sammy. I've always been in and out, but there wasn't a card, when COVID hit, I started going through stuff. I think the card that intrigued me most about collecting again, I dug up my Topps Kobe Bryant rookie card, which I don't have here. And that kind of brought me back into the hobby, I guess. That would be the one. You never left, Steve, right? You've been collecting pretty much.
No, I did. I left for a long time. I collected when I was a kid, but I always had my childhood cards. And then I took a big break off, and then I came back in when some of the overproduced cards were coming out.
There you go.
But then, COVID's what kind of got me back in. Like everybody else, I was a little bored. Started looking at my cards, and then I started going on YouTube, and I found some. Because and everybody says this, right? Like none of my friends, I have a bunch of guys that we've been doing fantasy football for 45 years because I'm ancient, but I don't have anybody that collected cards. And then, I took a leap and did a channel, and then now I've got I know a bunch of people that collect cards, and it's great, but there isn't any one card that brought me back in. But I've had cards. Like I had my Julius Erving rookie card since I was 12 years old. So
That's pretty
cool. That's very
yeah,
cool.
it is cool.
Yeah.
If we had Mark Hoyle on the channel, he says never really got out. I think Mark has been on like a ton of live streams showing cards, and I think he's only gotten through like 10% of his collection.
His collection is
Yeah.
incredible in the
Yeah.
10% that I've seen. So I can't even imagine the other 90%. It's got to be ridiculous. He's got everything.
Yeah, I was watching. He was on the was he which live stream?
It was Alex Bowman 53.
That's right. Yeah, I was watching that. I'm like, my God.
It was him and Tony.
It's like throwing flames, like lighting up, lighting
Right.
fire, and just throwing it right at his cameras, where his camera's going to burn.
And a bunch of stuff that I didn't even know existed. He rattled off in like 5 minutes. I'm like, wait, what's that? What's that?
It was incredible. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
There are some people who have amazing collections out there. I mean, it's just amazing.
Oh yeah. It's all to me because everybody collects so differently. Is there a bad collection, right? We love cards. There's no such thing as a bad collection.
No.
Like I can look at, I think Warren said, I want to get rid of that Junk Wax era. He shows some of the cards from that era that I just absolutely love. And I'm like, I need to go get that. I need to, not worry about it, staying. I enjoy vintage the most, but I have it all, or I collect it all. So even modern, which is the no-no in our community.
There's a lot more.
There you go.
Oh, man. Yeah, this... I want to see all the Stahlmeyers. I want to see Journal Americans. I want to see the San Francisco Call Bulletins. What else is there? I want to see, bring out the transograms. No one else appreciates them. Bring out the transograms. I know you have them.
I got some 91. I got some 91 Flair.
The dude, I guarantee you, he probably has the boxes, the figurines in the boxes, the cards cut out. He's got them all.
I think Pastor Craig's doesn't he have one of the Matthews figurine? I thought he had a figurine.
Eddie Matthews?
Yeah, is there
Yeah.
a Transagram figurine, Eddie Matthews? I don't even know.
I think there might be, but I mean, none of the figurines. I mean, you can call this figurine Nolan Ryan and this one Eddie Matthews.
Right.
How you wouldn't know the difference?
Kind of like those M&P company cards that Christopher Missouri likes so much, where Larry Doby is a white guy. Yeah, it's those
Well,
M&Ps.
listen, the transagrams, that was the last hurrah. Like they were like, okay, what can we do to keep us in business and stay afloat? Baseball cards.
right.
And so they're like, listen, we appreciate them and admire them. The family, the transagrams were like, the company was like, what the hell? You guys love them now?
right.
Like they, it's like
We're
that
on our
was
last
it.
breath. Now you like it?
Yeah, that was the nail that sealed it. I mean, I looked up like how that company they were thriving in the 50s. They were creating board games for TV
Right.
shows because everybody watched TV in the 50s. So they're like, oh, they created what game did they create? A bunch of like TV shows. They probably did like one on the Honeymooners or something like that.
Right.
I Love Lucy game or something like that. I got and they're like, this is working. This is great. And then the 60s roll around, late 60s, and they're like, baseball cards. Like, clearly, quality control was not in their favor when they made every player exactly the same.
Right. Weren't they doing like cartoon stuff too, like Hanna-Barbera
They were.
stuff?
Yes, you're right. They were doing that too.
Yeah,
They were doing that as well.
that's great.
See, there you go. I got the store display for. Of course you. No, that's cool, Mark. Honestly, I'm just always impressed with what you're showing, man.
We know who's going to be on next week already.
I'll just sit back and just be like, all right. Mark, literally
Go.
just like
Show
Good
stuff.
show.
just be a human highlight reel.
Right, show stuff. We'll be quiet.
Yep. I mean, we're gonna
That's good stuff.
see Stooks saying he bought the Willie Mays one. Found I remember him. He found the Killebrew triple player box at the 2023 National for pennies on the dollar. That's insane.
Yeah, that is nuts.
Yeah.
Why don't you collect that set, Sammy? Have you thought about it?
Nah.
No.
I like I like just buying the cards. I have all the players I want. The only thing I guess now is to get a 1970 Tom Seaver and a 1970 Mays. But I mean, again, I keep myself focused on Seaver, Mays, and Nolan Ryan up here.
Right.
That's to me that's the best one. Those you can't find. Those are tough. Yeah, I'll grab it. I'm gonna
I
get
like
some
the Sammy Thunder
Transagram.
transagrams.
Oh hell
Look
yeah!
at how young he looks.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is the same photo or similar photo. This camera's going to focus. No, don't focus on me.
Strong arm it. Strong arm it to focus, Sammy. Strong arm it.
It's not working. But I think it's the same or similar to his 69 tops. I got to find that card now. It's in this stack somewhere.
As 69 what?
As his 69 tops card.
Oh, is it really?
They
Yeah,
zoom in. They zoom in on his face.
It's similar. Yeah, I think you're right. It's fairly similar.
That's a great card, too. His 69 tops.
Yeah.
I think what happened is, unless I put it in here, it's somewhere. Maybe I lost it. That wouldn't be good. Is it up there? Oh, it is over there. Crap! I've been spending all this time.
Where? Oh, yeah. Second row.
Second row. Yeah. That's not gonna do well.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty close.
the blurriness makes us like just torture to look at, but you got the idea.
I never even knew that.
Yep.
That's crazy.
There you go.
And then
Yeah.
they outlined them and dropped in a blue background, and then that was it.
Yeah, because they didn't want to take their own photo. It's too much money. So they're like,
Right.
listen, you want to do us a solid? And, hey, listen, man, we can't pay you any money because we're broke. But you want to do us a solid and just let us have the licensing for the photos. Tops is like, okay,
This
fine.
is it. This is the last favor.
Here I am, just completely lighting up transagrams. And
Transagrams.
I can't be talking smack about them.
Yeah, that's like the no-no for you.
I know, man. I've been all about collecting them. But yeah, Petty, I will find you a Ryan transagram.
You see them often? They're hard to
No.
find. I'd never seen them.
No, that one I found on eBay, selling for, I don't know, it was selling for a lot, and I ended up messaging the guy on eBay saying, "Hey, I found your Instagram. Do you want to do like a private deal where, you pay a lower fee and you just give me a better deal on the card?" And he was like, "Yeah, let's do that."
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you want.
Yep.
A win-win.
Win-win indeed.
All righty, gentlemen. Well, we're getting to the witching hour, and my
Yeah.
wife just showed up, so I need to go say hello.
No problem. Steve, is there anything else you want to bring up before we adjourn?
No, I just want to say thanks, guys. It's been a lot of fun. I haven't laughed this hard in a while.
Yeah.
You can see how serious it was, Steve. You can see how regimented and how disciplined we are.
We had as many as I
It was
think
a
like
blast.
40 people in here, so that's awesome.
How many people?
I got like about 40 people.
Fantastic.
I mean,
That's
it's
awesome.
it's not Petty's numbers. Petty's numbers are like, I mean, his numbers like go crazy to like, I think you were up at like 60 or 70.
Sam,
But
if it was just you and I, we'd be about 20.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, that's why we need guests.
Right.
We're desperate. Thank you, Steve.
Well, thank you, guys. It was a blast.
No, it was a lot of fun, man. I appreciate it. And thank you everybody for watching. It's always a lot of fun, and we'll be contacting Mark for next week. It sounds like that's the next approach. So anyway, guys, thanks so much. Have a good night. I'll see you soon. Take care.
Thanks.